What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to go over the trade that I took to pass the Apex 300K account challenge 22,050 on the P&L that you could see right here. But I want to go over what I was looking for, how I was able to get into this trade with confidence with the max contracts of 35, as you can see up here, but also it tells you here as well. And a lot of this comes down to being hyper patient, which I have learned over the years of trading that I've been doing this, but not as easy as it sounds. So let's jump right into what I was looking at today to gain my confidence on this trade. So what you're looking at is the hourly chart here, but I want to get into the daily, which is what I meant to get into. All right, so you'll notice on the daily chart here that we have pushed up and then we sold off aggressively 2 days ago, chopped a bit yesterday, and then today was looking for some sort of a continuation of this move. I personally believe we are going to be range bound for a while, so it's going to be very difficult to trade. The reason why I think we're going to be range bound is because you can look at this right here and see that we've closed back into the range 3 different times now. So we'll see how the bottom retest of this range goes. And if we chop around, I think a result of that is going to be the tariffs we're going through with the Trump administration. But nonetheless, that was my bias for the day, that we were going to be bearish. As of this morning, we were already putting in a red candle anyways. So let's remove that. Let's jump down into the 15-minute time frame. And then I'll just pull up the VWAP here, turn off the bands, and you will see, come on, that we are below VWAP. Okay, so now that we're below VWAP, how do we know when to get into the trade and everything along those lines? One thing that you have to understand is that the market is essentially an auction. And for since basically market open, the the auction has been pushing price down, and essentially we had since 8:30 we had a little bit of a push up, a strong rejection off of VWAP 1, 2, 3 times, and we didn't even retest. We barely retested on the fourth candle before we pushed down. So I'm building my thesis on this trade, looking for a push up when price starts to get exhausted. However, if you're new in your trading journey, and I still consider myself new in this, but this right here, these candles, this is where you get chopped up. This is the accumulation before we displace lower. And you'll notice we are still pushing lower. So even though we had this nice bump, which was the trade that I got into, we still are pushing lower. So price is not fully exhausted yet. Catching the rebound is a bit tricky, but nonetheless, you can look at cumulative delta to let you know where this trade could potentially go. And I want to turn my, yeah, it shows me right here. Okay, perfect. So when you're looking at this, I like to use the 15-minute because the 15-minute really removes the 5-minute chop noise. The 1 o'clock, the 1 minute time frame is brutal to trade. Look at this. That is awful to trade. This is just manipulating you around, making your day miserable. You think you're going to have a breakout and a push up to somewhere up in here where you have all of these imbalances on the fair value gaps on the 15-minute, and then it just gets sold right off. That's why you have to get out of the habit of using the 1 minute chart and try to stick to the 5 minute. Okay, so what do you notice on the 15-minute chart here? As we're pushing down, you'll notice that the volume delta is starting to increase. Even on this candle here, we had 389. This candle really exhausted price to the downside. And then we had a nice push up here to get us back to an 881 positive delta. But you notice that the buyer still cannot win this fight. And we are still pushing down. I would like to see how we might start to pull somewhat of a U shape here and then start to push up towards VWAP this way. And you'll already notice we're starting to get an engulfing candle on the 5 minute on this side. But I wanted to trade the wick moving back up to the body on this candle. And what you'll notice that when we started to push down, we were able to push back up, and that was how I was able to capitalize on the 21K. And you'll notice that this candle likely will do the same and put in a stronger green body potentially. But I had to be hyper patient because if I got stuck into this trade here, I was getting stopped out, blowing the account. Thankfully, waited one extra candle, was able to get down to the push. Once we pushed past this wick was where I got long, as you'll see right here. Took a little bit of heat, but then we pushed ourselves right back up. So that was the thesis on this trade, and it was basically a lesson in being patient. And then you'll notice right here that we're already starting to push up, so this will likely act as support if we start to retest this later in the afternoon. But guys, appreciate you hanging with me for this video. Hope it helped. Please leave me a comment down below, subscribe if you can, and I'll see you in the next video.